Welcome to the MMA Killshot podcast from DFS Army. It's UFC 298. If you're living under a rock, I'll tell you the main event. Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria for the UFC Featherweight Championship. I'm Sniper. Next to me is Monk. Down below is Gino. We're going to talk all 13 fights on this card. We're going to go over DraftKings. We're going to go over betting. It's not your typical breakdown podcast anymore. We switched up the format last week to hilarious results. Each of these guys are going to defend one fighter. They don't get to pick who they defend. I will make that decision. I'll tell you who I agree with and who made the better argument, who I think won the round. Maybe I'll keep score. Maybe I won't. The good old, what was the show? The Around the Horn vibes. Scoring doesn't really matter. We'll make it out. Whatever. So we will do that. Had some fun last week. If you missed last week's show, Monk talked himself and everyone else onto Max Griffin, who then won the fight.
Including the judges, apparently. I talked them into it, too.
I mean, it wasn't the worst decision I've seen.
It wasn't. It wasn't the robbery that was being spammed in our chat.
No. Well, get a few drinks, get some DFS lineups flowing. You know how it goes.
A lot of times I just read it.
So before we get into the card, everybody hit the like button, share the podcast with your friends, drop us a comment, and let's get rolling. Actually, we got to talk. We could shoot the shit for a minute. Monk, how are you feeling coming off of that big Max Griffin win? Are you ready for 298?
Oh, huge Max Griffin win. Riding the wave of that right into 298, man. I'm looking forward to this card. A lot of good matchups. Several newcomers, which I don't necessarily like and which we aren't accustomed to seeing on big pay-per-view cards. But I welcome it because my guy Marab is on the card, and we get Volk. I mean, what else do we need? It's fantastic. Love the card.
I think you could be in for a very sad night, sir. Based on those two names you just said, but I can't wait to talk about it.
Nobody can harsh my vibe, man.
Oh, right. I should probably mute you after that, but we'll talk to Gino for a second, who apparently Gino's got a little following. I didn't know about. He joined us. I do he does a preview post, and all of a sudden got people saying, "Hey, I want to jump on the podcast. Can't wait." Okay, nobody gives a shit about me. So Gino, tell me, Mike, how'd you get so famous?
Oh God, I wouldn't say I'm famous or anything. I'm just extremely popular. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I guess I just run my mouth a lot.
Said the vice principal. That's total teacher vibes.
Right.
Give him the Marty from True Detective. Hey, I'm just a regular ass dude with a big ass dick.
I mean, listen. Side note, they were totally reading my diary on that one.
Yeah,
which I don't keep.
Yeah. But actually, man, I think it's Doc Ock. I don't know if you guys know him or
yeah, we know Doc. Hey Doc, why don't you like the Sniper? I know you don't know me.
Well, it's because you're always talking trash about his fighters. He's one of the owners of Couture.
I don't talk trash about Couture.
No, not his fighters. I'm sorry. What's his name? Chris Curtis.
Fuck Chris Curtis.
There you go.
Listen, I'm sorry, Doc.
I hate. You know what? That's such a pet peeve of mine too. I hate when people say always. Like it's like. Not all. You can't
yeah, no. I listen. Me and Chris Curtis had a DM exchange back and forth. I'm my favorite dude. I don't have to like everybody. I'm a big fan. I like his bestie, Chris Lieben. I love Chris Lieben.
Yeah.
Does that get me back in the Doc Ock bandwagon? I'm not going to be a yes man. We can like different people. We can still be cool.
Yep. But that's how I got famous. I guess
I got
you.
Yeah.
Is my friendship with him.
I was just busting chops. Well, welcome to the show, Doc Ock, because I assume you were watching, and if not, you're a shit friend. All right, let's move on.
He's probably not watching. I would say that's probably, that's probably the latter.
Doesn't he have a kid now? You know what? You can excuse all that. You got a kid.
Yeah. Well, I got 4. I'd watch his show.
Well, because you're a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk UFC 298 main event. Not going to honey dick anyone. We're going to go right to the main event. Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Just change it to the GOAT. If you don't think he's the featherweight GOAT, I need to hear your in-depth arguments for what? Who else will we be arguing? You can't argue Holloway anymore. You argue Jose Aldo, right? That's got to be the only other argument is Aldo and Volk.
Pretty much.
I don't see how you lose it unless Topuria goes out and gives Volk the old McGregor 6-second treatment here. I don't know. Like that, then maybe we start thinking. Then they would run some weird ass parallels. Actually, that would be really funny.
They'd have to run that back though.
Yeah, for
Probably.
sure.
No matter what happens, this fight's going to happen again.
There's nobody else. I mean, who else is really?
Well, you got to start talking all of the intangibles again about Volk, which whoever is on the, I give the Topuria side here, has got to talk about all the intangibles. Him talking about drinking before the last fight. Is his heart really in it? Like, that's got to be part of the argument, but we will see. Versus Ilia Topuria, looks strong. You know, the up and comer. Prices on DraftKings: 8,200 for Volkanovski, 8,000 for Topuria. The DraftKings lines, or the sportsbook odds, I should say, pretty much a pick 'em, as you would expect. Lean towards Volkanovski, like those salaries indicate. -125 for Volk. Topuria is +105. I feel like I gave Monk the short stick more often than not last week, so I'm going to give you Volkanovski. You are first.
Good.
What's the case for the champ?
Yeah, I'm glad, because I did not want to defend Ilya, although it's not difficult to defend Ilya.
I know you didn't. I was being a good friend.
Dude's awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's Volk, man. We're back at featherweight. This isn't lightweight. I mean, Volk lost, I forget who he lost to back in the day off the top of my head. He's lost 2 fights since then. Both of them have been lightweight, both to Islam Makhachev, obviously. But he is the king of the featherweight division until he's knocked out or proven wrong, gotten out of there. I refuse to believe otherwise. 119 is what he's scored in his 6 5-round featherweight fights that he's partaken in. 119 per win. Ceiling is almost 140. 5 of those 6 wins over 100 points. And I mean, it just happens again and again and again. We got Yair Rodriguez. He put up 140. Holloway, 114. Korean Zombie, 133. And they go on from there. Both guys have a ridiculous strength of schedule. Ilya, the way I do it, it's basically for everybody in the UFC, all their stuff. The average is 55. Ilya's at 62, which is a fantastic number. Volk is 5.5 points above that at 67.5. One of the best strength of schedules basically of all time. And he's got like how many fights? 14, 15 UFC fights in his last 5, 127 points a win, over 4 points a minute. Ilya's got to come in here. He's walking around talking shit, wearing the belt, all cocky and confident. My God, I can't wait to see Volk put him down and keep his rightful place at the top of the featherweight division. So there we go, Volk. And at 8,200, holy shit! I mean, how many lineups can I get him in? All of them.
I gotta say, I do enjoy watching cocky people get put in their place. That's why I enjoyed the Bryce Mitchell knockout so much. Like Josh Emmett is a special place in my heart now. I was always kind of Josh Emmett fan, but I love you, Josh Emmett. Quick aside. And so
I don't even dislike Ilia Topuria. He's just, I mean, against Volk, what are you gonna,
he's got some douchey vibes.
He does,
despise.
For sure.
I don't despise him, but he's got some douche vibes, which a lot of fighters do, because you got to be that kind of crazy ass alpha to do this. Anyway, Gino, defend our boy Ilya. How does he take the belt?
Yeah, and one thing, I think that the thing that bothers us the most is the fact that we're talking about one of the greatest fighters. You can't disrespect him when you're coming in as the challenger. That's just no. But
silliness.
So what I'll say about Topuria, I want to see him get knocked out, but we're in the betting game. There are worse dogs to be played. Topuria, let's talk about the fight in general for DK. First of all, you have Volk 136, 114, 133, 135, 102 in his last 5 wins. Topuria 126, 100, 100, 99. Topuria's been smoking, guys. He's been so dominant that I feel like that last 5-round fight, people were, while he dominated and he went, I think, he outstrike him by 70, 80 strikes, 152 to 87, and landed 3 takedowns. People were like, because he didn't smoke him and put his lights out or submit him, it was kind of like, well, that's disappointing. Fact of the matter is, that was a good opponent in Emmett. And he dominated him 5 rounds. And the other thing, what he showed us in that was that he's been smoking guys. The question was, okay, can he really go those 5 rounds? What he show us? He can keep it going for 5 rounds. He didn't really let up. So with that being said, he's fighting a Volkanovski who's coming off of a nasty KO. That's one thing people haven't really mentioned yet, is how he's going to respond to that. I mean, that was a pretty brutal KO, pretty devastating how that ended, especially the way they hyped it up. I think there is a piece to that. He even talked about some of the mental health things he was going through. You know, that's not like a magic wand. You don't just say, okay, yeah, I'm battling these things. And then it's like, okay, well, he acknowledged it. He's better now. We really don't know he looks good, but we don't really know what's going on up there, especially after a brutal knockout. So I say all that to say, I mean, who's to say Topuria doesn't see that, get right up in his grill, kind of like Sean Strickland did to Izzy. I don't think Izzy recovered from that and just shocks him, or just comes in and puts him out. Now we've seen it happen. I mean, he was up a weight class. I get that, but Topuria is pretty powerful.
All right. I look, this is one of the weird ones where I agree with both of you. I'm going to give this one to Gino simply because I think everybody needs to know that Topuria is more live than you want to admit with Volk. As much as I love Volk too, and I do, and I just think Topuria is super live. I think I'm going to be around, like, I might just pussy this one out in DraftKings and play 50-50. I actually think it's a coin flip. And aside from that, I think Volk is going to be higher owned. Also, cash games, just go ahead and play both these guys, but don't fuck around here if you're playing cash games on DraftKings. And betting wise, just pass. I wouldn't bet this fight. For me, this is lined right, going to be fun. Sit back and enjoy it. Maybe if you want, if anything, I don't think that Topuria is going to starch Volk. Maybe look into the over. I could go that route if you wanted to make a bet in the fight, but I think I'm reaching there a little bit. All right, let's talk co-main event. Plenty to talk about here as we got Robert Whittaker. He's 9,000 on DraftKings. Taking on Paulo Costa, the Eraser. Fuck it, I'm not going to call you Bohashina. You are the Eraser forever. At 7,200. A line in this fight. Whittaker's minus 250. Comeback on Costa is plus 205. And I personally, Monk, I will say you were first, but I've seen tons and tons and tons of people now picking Paulo Costa to the point where I'm wondering how fucking chalky he's going to be. So that being said, Gino is not somebody who picked Paulo Costa. So you're going to go first here with the favorite, Robert Whittaker, the former middleweight champion of the world.
Can I just say, I think they heard about Monk and Griffin last week, and it just started moving. He started moving the line with Costa.
It doesn't work that way. It has to start with somebody he doesn't want to defend at all. Like somehow he's going to end up picking Roman Kopylov later. I don't know how, but that's like something like that.
He's going to convince us. So with Whittaker, okay. First, let me just put this out there. When I go to talk about picks, much different from talking about my DraftKings plays. I think this fight's complete shit because I'm picking Whittaker. I say that because, well, even with Costa's last 3 wins have been 85, 78, 87 for DraftKings. You got Whittaker 65, 72, and 88 in his last 3 wins. It's complete. Like when it comes to volume for DraftKings purposes, it's not good. Whittaker, I don't see him getting put out if he loses in round 1, which I think that's really the path for one of these guys to score well as a round 1 finish. But with Whittaker, he got knocked out by Dricus, but I think everybody before Dricus beat Strickland was kind of like where's Whittaker at? But then Dricus comes out. I think Strickland won, personally, but I'm a little biased. But Dricus now is the champion, so we can live with that. And then the other loss besides that is Izzy, who's arguably one of the greatest champions of all time. So with all that being said, he's fighting Costa. Costa, he's got the striking. I was not impressed with the Costa that we saw however long ago against Luke Rockhold. That was not an impressive look to me. And I think that it's a sucker line because you see that line for betting purposes, and then you look at the dog. But I do think Whittaker is rightfully in that line because of his quality of competition, his quality of wins. And then Costa he's powerful, but he hasn't really shown a whole bunch to say, like, I need to be back up in that title race. Where Whittaker, who knows that before he retires, he could push for it one more time.
All right, Monk, he just called you a sucker. Defend yourself. Defend your boy.
Oh God.
This is like my favorite. This could be Not that I didn't like doing this podcast, but if I could just stir shit for an hour, like this would be way more fun.
Listen, I was looking at the numbers to this one, and this is way closer to a 50-50 fight than anyone wants to admit, even the people picking Paulo Costa, because most of them are just picking him because he's cheap as hell, and they're looking for dogs, because no matter what a lot of people say, there's a ton of dogs this week. I don't fucking buy it. So you have to pick the dogs, the ones that stick out to you, and of course, everybody's going to Costa. But let's face it, both guys have lost 2 of their past 3. Both, don't say Roberts lost a better Yeah, he's lost to 2 champions now. Actually, so has Costa. Rockhold was a champion as well. Vettori fight was extremely close. And then the Whitaker Duplessis fight, not very close whatsoever. But a lot of their stats are very, very equal. Both of them don't get a lot of finishes in the first round. Both of them spend about 80% of their fight time fighting at distance. Paulo Costa has the better accuracy, at least in the last 5. He also scores more DraftKings points everywhere compared to Whitaker. Yes, even inside the distance, outscoring Whitaker by almost 0.6 points a minute, but he does allow more points as well, does Paulo Costa. Has a better floor. Doesn't shoot as many takedowns, obviously, as Whitaker, but has an 80. Both of them have right about an 80% takedown defense. Their strength of schedules are the same. They're about the same height. They have about the same reach. They're about the same age. This is a 50 fight. I don't want to hear anything about ring rust. Oh, he's had a year and a half off. Oh, he's not going to make the fight. That's all I heard for the past week. Everybody that's on Costa now, oh, this fight's not even going to happen. It became the casuals are making that joke. It's so popular to make. This fight is going to happen. Costa's looked as good as he's ever looked, and one of these guys is coming off a win, and one of them is coming off of a huge loss. And yeah, I just think Costa has the ability to get it done, even if he doesn't. Even if I'm not picking him, 9K and 7,200 is completely asinine. Should be much closer than that. So the value's on Costa, in my opinion.
All right, I don't know how you do that whole argument and not mention no USADA and the secret juice.
Oh, I did not. Did I not say secret juice?
It's in the name.
I mean, yeah.
True. All right. It's you got to the whole there's no
I'm
more
not
USADA
calling him
thing.
Borrachini either, but I'm also not calling him the Eraser. His nickname is Secret Juice.
I don't like the way that Whitaker's reacting to get a hit now. I'm worried about that chin falling off. What does for me, I'm on the Whitaker side because I can't quite pick Costa based on conjecture of, okay, is Whitaker falling off? Is Costa gonna look better because of no USADA? I don't like the way he looked in the Rockhold fights. For me, the pick, I got to stay with Whitaker. And if Costa's as popular, I want to see ownerships in DFS Army on Friday, because if he's as popular as I think, I'll be bumping him down personally. But in terms of the argument, I love the passion, Monk. You were fired up. You were first. People are following you. I'll give you the win, even though I disagree with you. So see, I can be fair and impartial. And now I feel dirty, and I have to do something evil to you. So Ian Gary's at 9,100, taking on Jeff Neal at 7,100. Line on this fight. Jeff Neal is plus 190. Ian Gary, the favorite, at minus 230. And you may think I'm going to be mean to good old Monk because I am going to give him Jeff Neal here. No, you get Ian Gary. I fucking hate Ian Gary with a burning hot passion. I still picked him to win this fight, but I can't give him 2 wins in a week. So this is going to be an uphill battle for you. But please defend Captain Cuck. I mean Ian Gary.
Mikado Gary.
Gross.
No. Ian Gary. Nope. Ian Cuck Gary.
This is gross. I hate it. This is worse than you giving me Ihor Pateria last week, and that aged well.
Yeah, look, that was my kill shot. Cash that shit.
Yeah, fucking Ian Gary. So,
Is this
all right.
game
So the only way
that
I can't. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I will say,
this is
if he has to find a knockout in order to be relevant at all, whether it's in his career, whether it's in the media, whether it's in DraftKings, and maybe even with his wife. I don't know. But he's got to find a knockout. He has to. Otherwise, he scores like shit. He looks like shit, and nobody likes him. So, yeah, Jeff Neal. I mean, he's dropped 3. Sorry, I have to shit on Jeff Neal. I don't want to, but he's dropped 3 of his last 5. Yeah, it was to Shavkat and Thompson and Magny, but fuck. Yeah, Gary should be able to beat Neil. In full disclosure, I picked Ian Gary to win as well. I picked him to win by decision. I don't think he's going to get that knockout that he so desperately needs and wants. And I think it's going to go to decision, but I think he'll do enough to get it done, just like he does in every fucking one of his fights. Always does just enough to get it done, whether he finishes or not. So there you go, Ian Gary. 9,100. It's ugly, but there you go. Cash play.
You just shitting the guy who you were doing so well. He has to get a knockout to be relevant in his career and life, or whatever the line was.
Yeah.
It was one of the better ones. You backpedaled on it. All right. All right, Gino. Tell us why all of us Ian Gary haters, I'm not saying the middle name, I'm not doing it. Tell us why all the Ian Gary haters, what our hope is, what we need to see from our boy Jeff Neal.
I tell you, the more I look at it, the more I think there is hope. I'm actually going to get my family together. We're going to pray the night before, because there is nothing I would love to see more than this guy just get completely starched. And with that being said, speaking of that, it's interesting because I can't find anywhere where Neil has been knocked out himself. So that chin stands up. Neil is a very experienced fighter. He's relentless. I believe, if I'm correct, Gary's already made this very personal for Neil with the t-shirts and all that stuff. That's him, right? With the kids.
Yeah.
So you've already made it personal. You've given him that mental bank in camp, while he was like hiding away from Sean Strickland. So with that being said, you look at that. If it goes into later rounds, Neil can keep a decent pace on him. There are worlds where he can get him, and he has knocked people out. He also has, quiet as kept, some submission upside as well. So he could trip him up, get him down, and then we can see what that submission defense looks like of Gary. There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered with Gary. It is very clear what the UFC is trying to do with him, giving him that Paddy Pimblett treatment and just gradually increase him up. But I do see, and that's how I do Paddy, is like, I think they're both fraudulent in a lot of ways. So I just always bet against him because I feel like it's going to hit eventually. If it's not today, it'll hit the next time. But I see where Neil can get it. Yeah, there's a lot of worlds. Oh, and also Neil has scored 120, 64, 106, 105, and 114 in his most recent wins on DraftKings.
All right, for me, I'm picking Ian Gary. He's just more volume everywhere. I'm going to give the win to Gino because fuck Ian Gary. No 2 wins in a weekend. I need all the false hope. Any little bit of false hope I can get, but it's false hope. Moving on, let's talk Merab Dvalishvili, 8,600. Taking on Henry Cejudo at 7,600. Line on this fight, Dvalishvili, minus 220. That's a bit extreme for me, but I'll let these
guys. Too narrow.
Oh, man. Plus 160 to plus 180, depending on the book, is the comeback for soon-to-be quadruple C? Should be quadruple C?
Yeah, he's already quadruple C. I'll let you. You really need me to tell you what the 4th C stands for?
It's a family show, Monk.
There you go. You got it.
Oh.
It's a family show.
Took me a second.
Ugh, this is uncomfortable.
All right. It's not. You want to be uncomfortable, go watch Henry Cejudo's press day earlier today when he responded to the reporter about things that smell.
Oh, I need to go watch that. I didn't see it. Cool. Got something to watch after the podcast while I post. All right. So who's first for this fight? Oh, Gino, you're first for this fight, and I am going to give you the dog, Henry Cejudo. Back-to-back dogs for you, but much like the last one, it's actually not that hard of a fight for you because, spoiler alert, as much as I love Merab, I actually picked against him, and I feel dirty. So Monk can yell at me. Gino, why are you on Triple C? Make the case.
So first of all, this fight is an absolute goal. I think I'm probably going to go all in for DraftKings purposes because the ceiling on this is phenomenal. You have Cejudo, who can land. He has the ability to get finishes. He has the wrestling. He's highly intelligent. All he's done is continue to grow IQ wise. I thought, one thing we haven't really given him a lot of credit for, or at least I haven't until I went and watched it again. He looked really good fighting one of the better champions we've seen in a while off of an extensive layoff in Aljamain Sterling. So I don't think we can just discount that. He's getting a guy, Merab. Merab has a really good pace, and he's relentless with the takedowns. The one thing is, I don't think he can hold anybody down. That's why he gets so many DraftKings points, because he takes them down, they get up, takes them down, they get up. Doesn't get much. He doesn't seem to appear to get a whole bunch of damage with his striking either, which makes me feel better about Cejudo in this fight. So with that being said, I just don't think Merab's seen anybody like Cejudo when it comes to the wrestling. I think that's going to be hard on him. I think a guy as prideful as Cejudo getting taken down the way he did by Aljo, I think he went to camp and shored up his game. So I don't see him coming out with that lackluster defense again. And finally, again, both guys, they have ceilings. I mean, Merab scored as high as almost 170 points in DraftKings. So it's a great fight overall. But I do feel comfortable in Cejudo, especially at 7,600. You mean to tell me a guy that pedigree, that caliber? Sign me up.
Monk, tell us why all the DFSers always love Merab Diavalishvili, and more importantly, why Cejudo there's no reason to abandon ship as I have.
I mean, I love Merab, obviously, for reasons that Gino went into. He's a fantastic DraftKings scorer. Mat return after mat return after mat return. We all know all this stuff. But the most overlooked thing is his ability to land strikes, and more importantly, when it comes to DraftKings, insignificant strikes. Just total strikes that are non-significant strikes, I should say. That's how Mackenzie Dern scored 160 points. That's how Merab a lot of the time scores all these points. Yes, he lands takedowns, but he's also landing a ton of ground and pound as the significant strikes that they are not counting as significant strikes. They still count as 0.2 points, and Merab leads the league, basically, at least the division. He's towards the top 5 in said strikes. My whole thing is everybody's been saying, oh, he's not going to be able to take Cejudo down and blah, blah. So what? He couldn't take Jose Aldo down, one of the greatest strikers of all time, the best featherweight champion we've probably, was it featherweight? Yeah, it was featherweight. Featherweight champion we'd ever seen. And he didn't take him down at all. And he still won that fight, like dominantly. He only took John Dodson down twice, still won that fight. Dominantly, still controlled these guys for 30% of the time with 0 takedowns. Henry Cejudo, yes, Olympic wrestler, but he's had one fight since 2020. He got beat by the champion. He's 37 years old now. He's probably going to retire. He keeps saying it's all or nothing, all or nothing. We've heard a lot of people say that before. Then they lose, then they retire. He may be injured from what we're hearing, and I have a feeling he's spent the majority of his training camp pretending to fire his coach because he thinks it's funny. Like, this guy seems like the most unfocused motherfucker I've ever seen, and I'm going with my guy Merab, not only for the DraftKings upside, but if you're on Cejudo this week, let's look at how many points Merab gives up when he loses. 67 on average for his whole career. 67 points is what he gives up. So in a 5-round fight, maybe he gives up 80. That's not enough to, even at 7,600, that's not enough to do anything. So, yeah, give me Merab here.
I got to give the win to Monk because even though I'm on Cejudo, I like the striking stats, the insignificant striking stats. Cejudo's age, all that shit. Yeah, it's solid. You got me rethinking a little bit, just a touch.
All I can do. Friends don't let friends bet Henry Cejudo.
Oh, God, I might change my mind in our kill shot contest. It might. God damn it! All right, God, Monk, why did you do that to me? Why?
I just hate him so much.
I know you do, and I appreciate that.
He's so cringy, though.
And now I'm gonna make you pay.
That's all right.
I'm gonna make you pay dearly, and I foreshadowed it earlier. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is 8,800. Roman, I can't stop a takedown. Kopylov is 7,400. Line on this fight: Fluffy's minus 260. Kopylov plus 200. Monk, pull a Max Payne Griffin. Why is Kopylov going to win this fight?
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned Max Payne Griffin, but I have to look at something you just said. Yeah, that's right. Can't stop a takedown. These two people have landed takedowns on 25 attempts on Kopylov. He's got a 92% UFC takedown defense.
Really,
one of the
wait,
best on the card.
am I thinking of the wrong guy here?
And he's 95% in his last 5 fights.
Wait. I got to be thinking of the wrong person.
While you look at that, since you mentioned Max Griffin, what did I say last week with Max Griffin? Do you remember? I said, has he really got 4 knockdowns in 4 fights? What do we have here? Roman Kopylov, Josh Frem, knockdown. Claudio Ribeiro, knockdown. Alessio Di Carico, knockdown. Albert Duraev, knockdown. I'm pretty sure that's 4 knockdowns in his past 5 fights. There's your mirror right there to Max Griffin. What else is there? Kopylov, all Kopylov has to do is land 1 shot. And guess what? We've seen this shit happen before with someone a lot less powerful than Roman Kopylov. His name is Kevin the Trailblazer Holland, the real life superhero. Just put Fluffy down in like 30 seconds. Scored, what did he end up? A shitload, like 130 points in that fight. Let's get it, Roman Kopylov. There is a window here, a very good window, because Kopylov has been, lately he hasn't been really being overlooked, underplayed, because he's been proving it time and time again. So yeah, there is definitely a path here for Kopylov, and it is in his striking and almost immaculate takedown defense. So that'll be put to the test against Fluffy.
This is going to drive me literally insane. Who am I thinking of that's a similar name, similar build to this guy who can't stop a takedown? Because now this is going to drive me insane. Because the stats are right. I was 100% wrong.
Is he on this card?
I don't know who the fuck.
You think of Chase Hooper?
No. Chase wants to get taken down.
Exactly.
Who in the world am I thinking of? This is gonna really bother me here. Shit. All right, Gino, go ahead and talk to us about Fluffy Hernandez while I lose my mind.
Okay, so one thing to point out that I noticed really quick is, yes, there is a very high percentage for his takedown defense, but if you go and look at his opponents in the UFC where we're getting the data from, none of those guys have takedowns in any of their other fights. They don't really bring a whole bunch of threat when it comes to the wrestling. However, Anthony Hernandez, on the other hand, that's a different story. He's offering you about 7 takedowns per fight. He gets as high as 8, can go as high as probably 11. We haven't seen it yet. It could happen here against Kopylov, because now while the percentage is low, the one thing is when you go watch it's not a bad take in his defense, because the thing is he has that nice wide base and he uses it. He uses the cage well. The thing about it is Hernandez isn't going to let up 1 time when he gets on that cage. He's not going to let up 2 times when he gets on that cage. He's going to pressure him. Oh, and if that doesn't work, he'll light him up. He'll use the level changes. He has so many ways to get to, is it Kopylov or Kopylov? Kopylov, right?
Kopylov.
I'm so bad. But I just think the overall volume, both guys have good, Kopylov, really their striking volume is pretty similar. I want to say it's like a 1 strike difference per minute. But I just think the overall volume, the rounded volume of Hernandez will smother him. He also, like I said, he hasn't seen somebody really trying to push those takedowns, push that wrestling on him. So I want to see how he's going to respond. Very confident in Fluffy taking this one. And great DK play, because if he has to rely on that wrestling, he's going to score a lot of points.
I swear I'm thinking of another Eastern European fighter who can't stop a takedown. It's just escaping me. I totally handicapped you, Gino, because Monk put me in my place. I got to give him the win.
Borshev?
I went and looked it out. Who?
Vyacheslav Borshev? Slavaklaus?
Oh, God. It's a tall kickboxer, too. What the fuck am I thinking? This is going to drive me crazy. I went to look it up, by the way. All-time takedown defense with at least 5 UFC fights and 20 takedown attempts against you. Kopylov's number 10 in UFC history all time.
You see my eyes, rewind the tape and watch my eyes light up right after you say that.
This is literally, fuck. I'm overusing literally, but I'm pissed and I'm annoyed. I'm still picking Fluffy. I don't think Kopylov can stop his takedowns, but
Yeah.
I will take my L. And let's move on and let's talk Amanda Lemos, who's 8,300, and Mackenzie Dern at 7,900. Line on this fight. Not as wide as I thought it was going to be, honestly. Lemos minus 135. Comeback on Dern is plus 114. Monk, you can take Amanda Lemos.
Oh, good. Because I was frantically looking for how I was going to defend Mackenzie Dern. Yeah, Dern should be 1-4 in her last 5. I mean, if you go by just the stats, like, she should have lost that fight against Tisha Torres. I mean, she got out controlled, she got outstruck, no takedowns were landed, and somehow she won the split decision. So yeah, 1-4 with her only win being over Angela Hill. That would look even worse than it does. Meanwhile, Amanda Lemos, she's only 3-2, but she's lost to 2 former champs, Jessica Andrade, Zhang Weili, beat Marina Rodriguez, beat Michelle Waterson Gomez pretty handily, and then close one with Angela Hill. Yeah, apparently Dern is like doesn't have like a place to train. She's like training herself. She has no training partners. She's done this for 2 fights now. This is her second fight, I should say, doing this. And in her first fight, she got absolutely woman handled, I guess as the case were, by Jessica Andrade. I mean, Andrade scored like 131 points. No takedowns were landed in that fight. She knocked Dern down 4 times and beat her in just over 8 minutes. What's the difference there? Like, Lemos is primarily a striker, and Dern, in her last few fights, Marina Rodriguez, striker, Zhang Yaonan, striker, both L's right there. And Amanda Lemos is just, I mean, how does she not do pretty much the same thing that Andrade did? So I don't have a lot of confidence here in Dern. I love Amanda Lemos for cash. And even for GPPs at 8,300, yeah, she doesn't score a ton generally when she loses, or when she wins, excuse me. But what is Dern giving up? 96 points on average when she loses, Mackenzie Dern. So that's not a that's not a bad number there for 8,300.
Gino, other side.
Okay, so with Dern, I will say, first of all, with DK, I wouldn't say she's like the greatest play. Don't be deceived by that one fight against Angela Hill. I would say that's a bit of an outlier on that 153 score. But she does have a lot. And I think this is the scary thing, because we're seeing a world where striking starting to take over. And a lot of these jiu-jitsu people, we're just starting to see them get destroyed because they don't have that striking. I mean, this is a sport about damage. That's why we see all these split decisions going towards strikers, because they're gonna go with who gets more damage, who looks more active. But with all that, I will say she does appear to be getting better. I think her camp is, because, just for research, I do follow her on Instagram. Just so make sure we're keeping up with the research. Right. But she has a boyfriend who's a professional fighter, and I believe she's training with him. She seems to always be working her striking. It's Angela Hill, so it's a hard sample to pull from, but she did look better in the striking there. One thing to say about Jan in that fight was it appeared to be more competitive when you watch the fight outside of looking at the numbers, because I remember the push after the fight, because she did start to finally get a little ground and get a little credit in the community, because she was one of the people that a lot of hardcores and people were saying she was in there because she's pretty. But then she started to earn that respect. So she's coming in here fighting a Lemos. Lemos is not a world beater. We're talking women's MMA. It's not like Mackenzie Dern is some just walk through the park fighter. She's fought in main events. She was at one point on a 4-fight win streak. Who's to say she can't just come right in here, land a round one armbar right on Lemos? Not the craziest thing. Or she could even show us that she's continuing to prove in the striking, highly unlikely, and round off a decision win.
Look, I'm the biggest Mackenzie Dern mark out there. Like, I don't have Instagram because I'm old now. But if I did, I would follow her. And I would lie and say it was research. I would just follow her. But I got to take Monk's point here too. No camp. Yeah. Oh, her boyfriend. Oh, they're. I mean, I've seen that video where they're training. I've seen that. Like, I don't know. no camp, no improvement. Last fight looked terrible. I disagree. I think you undersold Lemos a little bit. Lemos is legit. I think Lemos is gonna get another title shot at some point in his career.
And real quick, how is this fight? We mentioned the short turnaround for Volk. Dern got knocked down 4 times and KO'd in 3 months ago. 3 months ago.
She had a very recent trip to the Shadow Realm. So yeah, I'm on Lemos here, and I'll give the dub to Monk, who wins back to back. So I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Oh yeah,
It's your fault. The last one.
Yeah, I screwed you there. I totally fucked you. But I'm gonna help you out now. At least I think. Now, if you pull this one off, I'm gonna be impressed because I have a pretty hard stand on this one. Marcos Rogério de Lima, he's 8,500. Take it on Justin Tafa at 7,700. Line on this fight. Rogério de Lima, minus 148. Come back on Tafa, plus 124. Those are the DraftKings numbers. Gino, you can go first with Peizao Rogério de Lima.
So I do like de Lima. He is not going to have a advantage on the feet with the striking. So look for this thing to go down and go down quick. He has the ability for DraftKings. He can score well. It could end up being a really boring looking fight where none of us are excited, and he could just score a shit ton of points off of control time and being on top of the dude. Then there's also, with that being said, he could do that over a few rounds and then land a submission. I do think that's where he goes here against a Tafa. Neither of the guys are it's not like Tafa to me. I mean, he's good. He's good with the striking, not bad. Pretty strong, but it's not like he's a world beater with that. I do think I think de Lima can get inside of him and press him up, eventually get him down, land the submission. That Derek Lewis thing, that was a brutal thing to watch. But I don't see, I didn't see Derek Lewis doing it, but I really don't see Tafa running across the cage and landing the flying knee. So
that's some shit I totally saw happen with Derek Lewis. I made a ton of money on that one. Everybody counting Derek Lewis out way too soon.
He said, "I think I just made that shit up right before he."
I wasn't like, "Oh yeah, it's Derek Lewis gonna come up with a flying knee," but when he did it, the way Derek Lewis fights, like he's outside of an IHOP at 2 a.m. Like I totally could. It didn't surprise me that much. Still cool to watch.
Yeah.
All right, Monk, Tafa.
The human version of the Kool-Aid Man, Justin Tafa. This fight's going to end in the first round, guys. This fight is going to end in the first round because that's how all Justin Tafa wins end, and that's how 70% of Rogério de Lima wins end as well. De Lima has lost 7 times in the UFC. 4 of those times have been in the very first round. Both guys have a gigantic power index, and both guys have terrible chins as well. Maybe not terrible, but they have both been chinned for sure. You mentioned what Rogério de Lima should do, and this is what we say all the time when Lupe Godinez fights or Gregory Rodriguez usually fights. They all have grappling, and Rogério de Lima just doesn't use it ever. Yeah, he subbed Arlovsky. But he landed, no takedown. Obviously, well, not against Lewis. 3 takedowns he did land against Cortez Acosta. Controlled him only 33% of that fight. 1 takedown landed against Ivanov. Didn't go for much control time there. He lost that fight. No takedowns against Ben Rothwell. Beat him obviously in 30 seconds there. But if you keep going, he prefers to stand. And anybody that chooses to stand with a guy like Justin Tafa, anybody that lets Derek Lewis run across the ring. Like Derek Lewis, yeah, that was cool, but he's not a fucking cheetah, and he doesn't have an invisibility cloak. Where was the reaction time from Rogério de Lima? Where the fuck was it? Justin Tafa could just roll at this dude like Blanca from Street Fighter 2, and de Lima's going down, bro. That's it. So yeah, Tafa, if he wants to stand with Justin Tafa, that's his fucking problem, and Tafa's gonna put him down like everybody else. 7,600 for a round 1 or 7,700 for a round 1 KO. Give that to me all day.
Just know you're going to see that on Twitter and probably TikTok pretty shortly. Just heads up. That's going to be coming out tonight.
There we go.
I almost want to give you the win because that was really funny. It knows the weight of my heart. I can't do it.
I tried.
But that was solid.
Valiant effort.
Blanca. I do appreciate the point that this fight probably is going to end up in the optimal lineup. Like these are first round guys.
Oh yeah.
So,
must play heavyweight slop fest.
This podcast was way more fun when there's Blanca references. You know what? And I like that so much and didn't give you the win. The win for there goes to Gino. I'm gonna help you out. Although pre-talk podcast, Gino wanted this. So
yeah.
Rinya Nakamura is 9,600. Carlos Vera is 6,600. It's like I'm getting ready to watch a train wreck. Nakamura is anywhere between, let's see, the best price you can get on him. The best price appears to be on MyBookie at minus 1,200. So enjoy that.
Sheesh.
The comeback on Vera anywhere between 750. Oh, they're plus 700 somewhere, but you can go get plus 800 on DraftKings. All right, Rinya Nakamura. This should not be a long argument, sir.
No, it shouldn't. In fact, I'm just now seeing Carlos Vera. Not only is his nickname Pequeño, which if you don't know your Spanish means small, quite literally. He's 36 years old. He's a 36-year-old UFC debutante. What the fuck?
Hey, listen. That shit stopped being funny to me about 3 years ago.
36, dude. You're getting into the UFC at 36. Okay, bro. And you don't have any Dana White Contender Series fight. I think, is this dude been in LFA? I think something like that, or Brave, or the fucking Jungle Fight League. Who knows? One of these organizations.
Right. Don't compare LFA, Brave, and Jungle Fight. let's fucking take that down.
Yeah, I don't have much else. I mean, Nakamura's been looking great. He scores 5 points a minute.
Fighter.
He allows. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. That's right.
Where he took a decision loss to Brad Katona
in an exhibition fight. Yeah, that's right. He did lose to Katona. Nakamura's strength of schedule is dog shit. Don't get me wrong, but he has a first 30-second win. He scored 140 points. Then he beats Fernie Garcia. Everybody beats Fernie Garcia. The dude's looked really, really good. Went all 15 with Fernie, but controlled 63% of that fight. Doubled up his striking. Landed 4 takedowns. A ton of control time. Yeah, it's gonna take a miracle, they say, as Snoop Dogg said, for Carlos Pena to be able to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all over Nakamura here. I'll give my but let's see how Gino's going to try and sway us, because I can argue that somebody that if Toshiomi Kazama and Carlos Vera fought, I think Kazama would be a favorite. So please tell us why Vera is not somebody I should X out of my player pool. And if you pull a Max Griffin on me, I'm going to hang up on you.
Okay, we're going to go to school real quick. Go back to my day job. All right. Who can answer this question for me? Who knows, out of all 4 of the opponents that Nakamura's fought, how many have gone on to win UFC fights?
Mr. Gino, we're going back to school here. The answer is fuck your mother.
0. 0. 0 of the guys. He's looked great. None of them. So Fernie Garcia, he is currently in the process of a 4-fight losing streak. He went on to get absolutely smashed by Emil after that. Granted, good competition, right? But still getting smashed. With Vera, and I'm not saying bet your bankroll on him. Let's put that out there real quick, okay? But there are worse plus money plays to be had. If you look at Vera, let's look at Vera. Yes, we've seen plenty of Nakamura, but he's got 8 professional fights. He's fought 4 of them in the UFC. That's good. Go over to Vera. Vera has an extensive fighting career. He has 14 professional fights. even his amateur fights are tracked, and that looks well more than 10. So you're talking about a guy, yes, he's old, but he is well experienced fighting a younger fighter. And another thing, out of all these fights, Vera has only been finished one time, and it was by submission. So he's not going to just be a guy that Nakamura can just come and lay out right off the bat. Kind of reminds me of Rosa. I don't know. I can't remember his opponent's name off the top of my head, but Rosa's was coming in as a major, major favorite, and he went in to fight and he lost a decision because the guy was tougher, the guy was experienced, and he gave him work he wasn't expecting. Again, guys, don't think I'm telling y'all to bet the house, but there are much worse plays at this pricing. And at this price, if he does somehow, he has a crappy decision win, he'll still score well. He scores over 60. He's going to at that price.
Are you saying Charles Rosa from years ago or Raul Rosas Jr.?
Raul Rosas Jr. Yeah,
right, I was if you're comparing Dennis Seaver and fucking
no.
I was like, then Rosas, we got a real issue here. So to Christina Aguilera. Good try. Yeah, my problem is I watched all the tape on Renya a couple times, and one of my favorite prospects. So out of principle, it's going to Monk. And you got a bigger dog, and I just disagree with you on a point that there's better plus money dogs to be. There are better plus money dogs to be had, and we're going to talk about one shortly. That another one you wanted that I'm more on board with. So save your firepower for that one. Until then, we have to talk about the Fraud Bowl. The Fraud Bowl is two guys on this card making their UFC debut against each other who have fought literally nobody. It is Zhang Mingyang, here I know as Zhang, at 8,400, taking on Brenson Ribeiro at 7,800. Line on this fight. Zhang is minus 122. The comeback on Ribeiro plus 105. Gino, take whoever you want. You can pick for that valiant effort because honestly, it's the same argument for both these guys. Who the fuck knows? So take whoever you want.
Oh no, it is not.
No, well, take whoever you want.
Who you want, Monk?
I want the dog.
Okay,
but I don't care.
You want Brenson Ribeiro?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
So all right. Well, with Zhang, I'm just gonna say he's kill or be killed. As far as DraftKings, this is a
both
good
guys
fight.
are, by the way. Sorry,
Yeah.
I messed up my intro because I meant to mention this. I had a note down. It's about I think there's over 40 professional fights between these two, I believe, and they're like 2 decisions.
Right.
Like it's and now we got to deal with this in a DraftKings slate on one of the biggest cards of the year. Fuck you, Dave. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So So Zhang, he does have some pop in his hands. But again, we've already talked about this. Neither of these guys are they're professional fighters. Of course they're good. But UFC quality, I don't know about. So with that being said, I do see Zhang. His opponent, Ribeiro, he's got a compromised chin. It's shown it. And I think Zhang does have the edge from watching the film. I think he is the slightly better fighter. So yeah, I have no problem playing Zhang, but I think overall this is a great fight for DraftKings. And it'll probably be lower owned because people, especially in these big pay-per-view cards, the field they tend to go with name value.
There's a strategy I'm considering because I'm not going to play a ton of lines where I just pick the 6 fights where I think the optimal is going to come from. Like the main event, like Divalishvili Cejudo, like this one, and just like Delima Tafa, and just running every combination of those that's like over 49.5 in salary, and just those are my 7 lineups, and I'm just gonna move on because personally I can't. I mean, I'm not playing 150. I'm gonna make a primary, and I'm not gonna MME this week, but I might do that. So anyway, all right, Monk, you wanted Ribeiro. Why?
All great points. And I mean, this is a shit show. Both guys are kill to be killed. Their stats don't even need to be gone over. They both scored a shitload knockouts in the first 3 less than 4 minutes. blah, blah, blah. Both are nicknamed after animals. So there you go. Who's going to win between a gorilla and a mountain tiger? You know what I'm saying? It depends on where the fight is. If it's in the mountains, I'm taking the tiger. But if we're talking about flat terrain, I mean, it's the gorilla all day. But the reason we're going to play a little wiki capping here. Let's see. 5-0 when Zhang was 5-0, he fought an 0-2 guy. Then he was 6-0 and he fought an 0-0 guy. Then he was 9-2 and he fought a 1-2 guy. Then he was 9-3 and he fought an 0-1 guy. Oh yeah, he also got beat. We're talking about, this is the Fraud Bowl. This dude got beat by the biggest fraud of them all, Askar Mosarov. He got beat. Not only did he get beat by Askar Mosarov, he got knocked out in the first motherfucking round. So yeah, if you are talking to me about frauds and you took a huge L to the king of the frauds himself, you are, sir, the one true fraud, and therefore I'm taking Brendson, I don't know what that name's all about, Ribeiro for the win. You can't lose to Askar Mosarov.
Personally, I'm taking Zhang because I think watching film, he looks better, but it's a shit show. Props to Monk for the wiki capping argument and bringing up the king of the frauds. Leaning
it was
into
the voice in the conclusion, wasn't it? That's what got him over the top.
You got to sell him. You got to make.
Dude,
you're lucky I didn't give him I didn't give him the win on the Blanca reference.
70% of this shit is theatrical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. You got to upsell it. I really thought we had 13 fights in this card. I think I said it in the intro too. There's only 12.
No, only 12.
I think I undersold limos. You got to undersell too.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's talk about. I don't like this fight.
Jesus.
I just don't like this fight. Danny Barlow at 8,700 taking on Josh Quinlan at 7,500. I think I don't like it because I can't get a good read on it because it's how good is Danny Barlow. He's minus 200. Comeback on Quinlan is plus 160. Gino looks dejected. He just looks sad. So you can go and take Josh Quinlan first.
Okay. So with Quinlan, he's off the juice now, so he's looking a little less powerful in his last outing, but he also looked really powerful. Back on it? I don't know. I don't think
Musada's gone. We're living in a whole new world.
That's true.
Paulo Costa is going to come out with 4 extra nipples and 3.
Dude, and he's on Costa's card too.
Who doesn't want to see this?
Yeah, pour all your money on Quinlan. He's got the juice again. We're gonna be all right. But he looked less powerful. But he was also not fighting Jason or Witt. I'm sorry, I said Jason Witt, tight end. But Witt, who actually can get knocked out by a strong gust of wind. So I'm right. Just saying,
it's Jason Witt.
Oh, really? Witt.
You're thinking of Jason Witten.
Jason
Witten. Y'all, I suck with names. I just suck with names. But Quinlan, he was outstruck 104 to 50 in a decision loss to Waters. So it does show a little bit, but I mean, Waters, the jury's still out on him. He's 1-1 in the UFC with a loss to Bonfim. So that may not be the worst loss in the world, especially for a guy like Quinlan, who's breaking his way into the UFC. He is fighting a Barlow who is fresh off the Dana White Contested Series with a finish. And he has 5 confirmed round 1 finishes in a 7-fight career. But I do think if Quinlan comes back, he looked off in the last fight. We're assuming good coaching. We're assuming a good camp. He comes back. He shores up his game. You're going to see that power back. You're going to see that striking back. I could see him shocking a guy like Barlow. I don't know if Barlow's seen somebody with Quinlan. Let's hope a juiced Quinlan with that power. And I think it could shock him. I think it could put him in a real bad place real quick. And we, like I said, we see this type of thing happen a lot. And the thing is, how many guys, isn't it like 1 million guys are coming to the UFC now? Like, I feel like every other week we're getting like 3 new people.
Yeah, as someone who does the tape index for MMA Play 365, I'm pretty annoyed about it.
Jesus.
Pulling new tape every goddamn week.
Yeah. No doubt.
Anyway. All right. Decent. Monk, how good is Danny Barlow?
I don't know how good he is. His nickname is fucking top notch. Left hand 2 God. It's got the 2 in there. It's all one word, real reminiscent of like If you ever listen to Tupac, the All Eyes on Me, that's how I see.
That's a terrible nickname.
That's how I see that.
horrendous.
Stop it. It is a great
Horrendous.
nickname. Great nickname. Left hand to God. It's better than the fucking Maverick. That's for sure. Yeah, he beat Jason Witt. Jason Witt is terrible. He landed 3 strikes and knocked him out in 2 minutes. And then he turned around and lost to, like you said, Gino, I think a decent Trey Waters, but still, Quinlan did not look good in that at all, especially riding high off of that Jason Witt win. He could not get anything going. He got outstruck 2-1, like you said. Did land a takedown, but didn't do much with the control time there, and just looked overall lost on his feet. I know Trey Waters, if I'm remembering correctly, he's like a 6'5" welterweight. So he's a super tall guy with really rangy as well. So maybe Quinlan had a hard time getting in on him. That's unfortunate for Josh Quinlan if that was the case, because Barlow is listed 2 inches taller and 8 inches of this dude has an 80-inch reach at welterweight. What did John Jones have the longest reach? And he's at like 84.5 at heavyweight now, light heavyweight, I guess, if we're making the argument. 2 weight classes down, this guy's got an 80-inch reach. Looked great against Raheem Forrest. Listen, this fight's a shit show. These guys have 7 pro fights, and Barlow probably has 7 pro minutes, basically, probably a little bit more than that, but not much of cage time. I'm just going to take Barlow here because he's more of a mystery, and I've seen Quinlan look like he doesn't have an answer for what's going on. So I'm going to just side with Barlow here. He's not even in the 9K range, mid-range for an exponentially high first-round upside. That's a guy I want in my lineups.
I think Quinlan's going to win. That is my pick. But in terms of argument, Monk, you said he didn't have a lot of cage time that hurt your case, and the fact that we talked about extra nipples and steroids and the extra juice, I'm going to give Gino the point there.
One thing, I didn't want to bring this up to hurt myself, but
no,
Barlow,
I mean, if you do it, I will take the point away.
Nope, never mind. Barlow loses 10 out of 10 times. Sucks.
Let's talk about Oban Elliott at 9,300 taking on Val Woodburn at 6,900. Oban Elliott's minus 310. Comeback on Woodburn is plus 250. Everybody, don't think I'm being mean to Gino. He asked for this now. He asked for this one. Monk, you are first, though. You get the layup. Oban Elliott.
Well, there is one clear layup for Woodburn, but I want to see if Gino mentions it. If he doesn't, I'd love to pipe in at the end for half a second. Oban Elliott should be better all around here. I mean, the Welsh gangster, he idolizes Chael Sonnen. Now, as far
that's
as
a good nickname. That's a good nickname.
It is. As far as personality goes, you could argue both sides of if Chael Sonnen's the best guy to follow or not. But as far as like work ethic and style of fighting, yeah, there's worse guys than Chael Sonnen. So Oban Elliott actually on the Ariel show found out Chael was going to be in the audience, and that was a really kind of a cool moment, you know, for an incoming guy. Love to see like real moments like that in our sport, which is mostly full of, you know, degenerates like us, and then a bunch of fucking assholes spouting shit.
I am not. Never mind. Keep
but Oban looked service. I mean, 4 points a minute or 3.5 points a minute. He held his opponent to 1.4 over 15 minutes, which is very good. Val Woodburn, we didn't get to see that fight. It just erased that fight against Bo Nickel. That was, you know, it was ridiculous. I just think Oban is a bit more well-rounded here. Although there is some sorcery going on that could give Val Woodburn the win, but I don't mind Elliott. I just think he's probably a bit too expensive for what I want to pay for a debuting fighter. I don't know what if you put points to the win, his DWCS win, he got the dominant win, sure, but he would have only scored 84 points, and that's not going to do it at 9,300. So I'm just a bit skeptical there. But as far as getting the win goes, I think Oban Elliott, this is a welcome to the UFC, young man. Here's your first win kind of fight.
Val Woodburn time, Gino.
Okay. So I think with this pricing too, if you look at Val Woodburn, let's put things in perspective. Short notice fight, went and fought one of the top prospects in a weight class above him. Mm-hmm. Very clear size advantage. Like, Jesus, I looked at the picture of him when he came in. I was like, dang, okay, the animal, he might be able to do something with Bo. But then they stood next to each other, and I was like, oh shit, poor guy. But he did. personally, I think he took one for the team, came in short notice, took his knockout. So now I think he got a fight in Elliott that is actually more close than people are putting it on to be. Because again, he was undefeated, never knocked out. He has professional fights under his belt. So it's not like he was undefeated amateur just fighting people in Florida. He was fighting, Combat Night Pro. Granted, it's not the biggest thing, but it's still a professional fight card. And you're fighting an Elliott who has been knocked out in both of his losses. And so he's shown clear power. He's back down to a weight class where he can do some damage. I just don't see why Elliott is being treated like he's already arrived and he's just running over somebody. He's not. He is currently on a 5-fight win streak, which is good, but none of them are in the UFC. So to me, this is more of an even we don't know fight than anything, because we really don't know what either guy can do. We just know what both guys have the potential to do. So I'm gonna go with the dog.
Monk, did he hit on your point?
No, he didn't. This guy's name is Valentine. It's Valentine's week, and he's $6,900. Come on.
Dear
I thought you had
God.
some deep math
Yeah,
shit that you
no.
were about to hit.
Come
me
on,
with, like,
That's like
the kind of-
astrology shit.
You know what? Gino was going to win this point anyway because I happen to just agree with the whole point, and I'm biased in
Good.
this
I'm
one.
glad that
But-
I said it.
But if you were behind that type of comment, that's what pushes you over the edge. That's what people want to hear.
If I was behind.
Just roll at him like Blanca.
Exactly. I already won with that.
And there's definitely some teenagers and 20-something-year-olds watching this going, fucking, who's Blanca?
Right. Right.
You're fucking old. Street
please
Fighter
just
guys.
don't be my
Just go-
students.
Just go look it up. Oh, that was great. Blanca. I hope it is. I hope your students are watching and somebody rolls at you like Blanca tomorrow.
Yeah.
If they do, don't suspend that kid.
Although
Yeah,
I
you
do
can.
have like 3 kids that come in my office, like kids that usually get in trouble, and they're like, "Yo, Mr. C, who you got on the money line this weekend? Can you tell me?" Yes.
Oh, nice. You have to watch the
Kids,
podcast.
we don't gamble and we don't bet on Fluffy Hernandez at +2. No, yeah.
You do not put your lunch money on Andrea Lee at plus money. No, don't do that.
Yo,
All
on a
right.
serious note, I had to break up a craps game in one of the 8th grade
Oh yeah.
classes.
Oh yeah.
Did you at least wait for somebody to 7 out, or were you a dick and take it while there was a point?
I took it, and the bad thing was, this was a couple years ago, the teacher tried to argue how it was like part of the curriculum in her math class.
What you say? I watched the fucking Wire. That shit doesn't fly.
I mean, kids these days can do 7 for 6. You're teaching them math. Somebody's got $18 down. The 6 comes, you get $21. You're teaching math.
And the Wire Prez taught him how to do math by he's like corner math, basically.
I'm gonna have to hire you guys.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't want to be a teacher. No disrespect to any teachers out there. Not for me.
Yeah.
Although I don't want to hear your shit how your job is so hard when you get 3 months off. Come at me, bro.
We've already talked about that. You know,
he was on our
No, I wasn't not throwing you under the bus. I'm just my own personal feeling.
Nobody appreciates me.
Oh, he did it. Now it's on record.
I'm raising America's children.
Yeah, well, you guys are sucking at that shit.
We sure are. Jesus Christ. Pajama pants and vape city, man. Jesus.
Pajama pants and vape city.
Yup.
Oh, solid. What fight am I on? Oh yeah, we gotta finish
Lee versus
things up.
Maverick.
Miranda Maverick, 8,900, taking on Andrea KGB. I date racist Lee at 7,300. Line on this fight: Maverick's minus 185. Lee is plus 155. I'm gonna be upfront about my feelings in this fight. I didn't want to pick Andrea Lee. I wanted to go with the favorite, and I couldn't do it. So who's ever on Maverick, you know what? I'm gonna give Monk Maverick because I want
take her.
you to say something funny that takes me off of Andrea Lee and her very questionable taste in men, which is none of my business in terms of breaking down a fight.
Well, full disclosure, I think I picked Andrea Lee to win this fight.
All right, this
I
this
picked
needs
Maverick.
to be the Max Griffin moment.
You picked Maverick.
I picked Maverick.
All right, switch.
There we
Gino,
go.
you're first. Take Maverick. Fucking help me. You need
right.
to help me.
Okay. Well, there's this thing called your fighting record. All right. And I'm looking at Andrea Lee's, and she's fucking 2-6. She's lost 3 straight. Just, I mean, and then like Silva, that wasn't even close. She got straight up beat. 40 strikes to 70. No wrestling, nothing else. Just straight up getting beat on the feet. Nothing fun to watch. She lost to Macy Barber. But now that one, I will say that split decision, that was okay. But then Arajo before that, she's her 2 wins are versus shitty Shevchenko and then Calvillo. Like I don't see where her fighting a rounded Maverick who, I mean, I thought she's looked.
This is my question.
pretty-
This is actually my question to you. How rounded is Maverick? Because I think of Maverick as someone who needs to wrestle or she's in trouble.
What I mean, she can use the, like, if you look at how she fought Shayna Young, Shayna Young was doing a decent job with the striking defense at first, but then Maverick put on the wrestling and mixed it in with the striking, and you see she had like mid volume, a little bit over mid volume striking with 5 takedowns. So she can, I think the striking is not great. Don't, like, you know what I mean? But I think if she can get the wrestling going, she can really complement that wrestling with the striking, especially if it goes to a decision. And again, I think this could be like, we don't see Andrea Lee no more after this fight, unless you, I don't know what her, maybe go on Instagram again, do the research, but you probably aren't going to see her after this if she loses to Maverick. And I think she does. I just think Maverick's the better fighter.
That's okay. If I want to do research like that in Andrea Lee, I could just open up any World War II textbook. And
Is she hot? I thought she was hot.
no, I'm referring to her tendency to date Nazis.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
A penchant for that,
Oh, really?
kind of, seemingly.
You
Or at
didn't
least
know that?
guys that have Nazi tattoos.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Oh, yeah. She's got to lose then.
And her nickname is KGB.
Which
Where
is,
does that even
which,
come from?
I mean,
It's not her
Probably-
initials.
probably because SS was too on the nose.
Yeah. They might confuse that with significant strikes. That's exactly what she sounds like, by the
If
way.
her nickname was like Andrea Goebbelsley,
Goebbelsley. That's hilarious. Maybe that's what the G stands for in KGB. Who knows?
all right,
Yeah.
let's get back on track here.
This fight, I hate it. I don't like either of these women. Let me just preface that. Yes, Andrea Lee has looked not good. Shitty Shevchenko, shitty Calvillo. But Miranda, if I could speak, Maverick, not only does she have the worst nickname on the card, like what does that even mean? Where do you even put it in her name? It doesn't make sense. Her last 3 wins, Priscilla Cachoeira, who cares? Shayna Young, she was a minus 840 favorite. She better fucking win. And Sabina Mazo, she was a minus 400 favorite. She's gigantic favorites over these people. And she was a minus 300 against Double J, Jasmine Jasudavicius, a loss that has aged well, but she still lost that fight as a minus 300 favorite. I think this line is too wide. Lee likes to keep it standing, likes to throw kicks, can mix in the wrestling a little bit. Not sure if she's going to want to do that against Miranda Maverick, but she should be the taller, rangier fighter, and she is indeed. There's a huge age difference, which I don't like, but when Miranda Maverick does lose, she's given up like 100 points per loss. Let's see, over her last 2 losses, I guess. So not great there. And Andrea Lee, despite all her losses, is only giving up 83 points when she does lose. She only gave up 58 to Natalia Silva after just getting beaten up basically for 15 full minutes. She only scored 58 points on her. So if we're talking DFS, 8,900 is a real steep price to pay, in my opinion, even though Maverick does have on paper the round 1 upside. But Andrea Lee is tough, man. If she can't get her out of there, then I don't think she's going to score very well. And this, I mean, we could see another real greasy decision here with Andrea Lee. So, I think this line, much like the Costa line, is a bit too wide or way too wide. And I'll put my chips in on the dog here.
Yeah,
I'm still going to boo her when she wins. Don't worry.
I think I'm just with you. I'm going to give this one to Monk, unfortunately. It makes me sad. Very sad. But let's turn the corner I just wanted to make a Blanca reference. I couldn't work it in though. I'm going to say Blanca again for the 20th time this podcast. Let's talk about Killshot's under-owned play that can help you win a tournament on DraftKings. Main event fighter not allowed. Although not that I think either of those guys are going to be under-owned this week. It's just a general rule. I need a second to think because mine was going to be Cejudo, and now Monk has me re-questioning my life. So because of that, Monk, I'm going to punish you, and you need to go first.
That's fine. And I don't care what Vince says. He must have said it first in his head, but I said it first overall. And it's Paulo Costa, 7,200. I already made the argument here. I think this line way too wide. 7,200 seems criminally low for a guy with decent upside and a path to victory. So 7,200 is wild. I'm well under the 7.7 mark. This is not a main event. And give me somebody towards the bottom of the list that has finishing upside here.
God, I hate all the dogs.
Dogs suck this week. Everybody, there's a lot of dogs I like. Really? Where?
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with Henry Cejudo because he's the best caliber dog, and I think he's live. But I really, it is taking a hurting from Monk's argument, but it's still what I got to go with because I hate all the other ones, honestly. Okay, Gino, round us out.
Yep. I am gonna go with Woody. I want that. I want the animal. Let me go with that for the kill shot. I was
considering pivoting there at the last second, but I couldn't quite do it. So
my original was Lee this week, but
I like
then
it.
I saw Costa. I was like, I'll just take him instead.
That's fine. I'm with it. All right, guys, that's what we got for UFC 298. Hit the like button, share with your friends. Join us at DFS Army. Got promo codes, links, all that good shit down below. I will see you in the Discord. You guys got any words before we get out of here?
No, sir. Looking forward to this card. Cannot wait for a non-Apex card since we'll probably be back there next week. So enjoy this while it lasts. Marab Fight Week. Let's go, baby.
Good luck, guys. Let's get it.
Cool, guys. One more time, because it's very important that you hit the like button and share with your friends. And then cash those contests. Good luck. We'll see you next time.